One thing that has gone nowhere is talk of an 18-game regular season. I believe it's inevitable by 2031 at the latest. Here's Roger Goodell from yesterday on the issue of possible expansion of the regular season from 17 to 18 games.
We have not had any formal discussions about it, and frankly, very little, if any, informal conversations. I've heard people talk about it in the context. It is not a given that we'll do that. It is not something that we assume will happen. It is something that we want to talk about with the union leadership. As you know, they're going through a transition, and hopefully that'll get solidified this spring. And as they determine their priorities, we are doing the same on the ownership level so that when we get together, we can address these issues together. It'll depend on a lot of factors, including safety of the game. What other changes can we make to the game that are going to continue to improve that from a safety standpoint, but also a competitive standpoint? Should we have 2 buys? What are the roster sizes? There are a number of issues that need to be discussed with the players, and that I'm sure will be a focus, or at least a component, of the next CBA.
Look, he has wanted 18 games for almost 18 years.
Right.
So that's just word salad.
Yeah.
Not tipping your hand,
right.
not overplaying your leverage.
Not disrupting
Here's
the
what'll
union
happen.
relationship.
If they don't get a deal voluntarily,
yeah.
You know, we can do this the easy way, we can do it the hard way.
Right.
And the hard way is we'll lock you out in March of 2031 until you cry uncle and say we'll play 18 games. And we'll get 18 games as soon as 2031. There's too much money to be made. And we just had Robert Kraft talking last week in the context of the international expansion. He said we're going to have 18 and 2.
Yeah. 18
regular season, 2 preseason, and every team is going to play a game overseas. They've now moved it to 9. The most they can do under the current CBA per year is 10. 9, Goodell announced yesterday, international games for 2026. They want to get to 16.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do. They're going to keep growing because, look, they know how much money they make. They want to have more standalone games. They want to have more of those windows where 20 million, 25 million, 30 million people tune in and watch the games. They make more and more money from the networks, from the streamers. And that's what you do. That's how you grow. There's always pressure. It drives me crazy. If a business is successful, it's never enough to stay as successful as you've been.
Yeah, right.
There's always pressure to get bigger and bigger and bigger and make more and more and more money instead of just, you know what, we've perfected this. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And I know you don't, like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, and whatever cliche you want to throw in there. But that doesn't mean you have to force innovation and change and expansion, because at a certain point, you cross that threshold to the point of diminishing returns.
Well, right. Well, you don't, in that process, to me, and as a player, you don't want to, ruin relationships with your employees with that, and also hurt the public with it growing that way. And that's where I think the NFL has to be a little careful. But the league is hot right now. We know it dominates America. I mean, it's not even close. Football, baseball, basketball, and hockey combined can't shine the shoes of football right now. TV ratings, money-wise, they make more money than all of them combined. It's not close. And worldwide, I feel like the last few years, the NFL is really starting to catch on everywhere. It really is. So I understand them capitalizing, and I like the overseas stuff. I do. But again, what we don't want to see is screwing over the consumer all the time. Oh, yeah, you got to buy this app now to get the game. You got to pay $75 to get this app to watch this game. We don't want that. We don't want to kill the players and go, hey, we just want more games and just, run into the wall, and we don't care about your head, and, screw you, just beat your body up because we're having fun. It's entertainment, and, man, we're making a lot of money as owners. That's where they got to watch out, right? That's where it is. But, like, to your point with the 18-game season, yeah, that's what they want. They want that. They've been wanting that, right? My dad brought it up 10 years ago when he was working at CBS going, this is what the NFL wants. He had heard from enough people then. They want that President's Day weekend Super Bowl like we've discussed a bunch of times, right? So I understand that, but within 18 games, we got to adjust it, and probably 2 bye weeks,
If
really.
they're going to do 2 buys, you know what that means? That means we get to work Labor Day weekend because there's no way to fit 18 games and 2 buys unless you take away the dead week between the conference championships and the Super Bowl.
They should
They're not
never
going to
do
do that.
Right.
They're going to be starting on Labor Day again, something they haven't done since 2001. But that's coming. And they stopped playing on Labor Day because people aren't home to watch games on TV. Well, that was a time before we all carried around the TVs in our hands.
Yeah.
They'll go back to Labor Day if that's what fits in the calendar.
Let me say one more thing too about the overseas stuff, right? Just as far as like we got Melbourne, Rio, Munich, Madrid, Paris, which is going to be awesome. They're having a game there. Mexico City, and then the 3 games in London. The Melbourne one, though, I look at that and go, man, that's a tough one. I mean, the Australian Open just got done. You listen to the tennis players there; they get there 2 weeks before the tournament even starts to get used to the time change. Like, Melbourne trip for an NFL player in the middle of the season could be a huge season disruptor, right? I know I went to Tokyo and played at a preseason game there, and it ruined our football team for 2 or 3 weeks.
How?
Just because it was such a quick trip, right? We had guys that went out there and they couldn't sleep. Like, you would go out in the hallway at like 2 in the morning, and Brad Johnson would be sitting on the hallway floor reading the paper. Because he's like, I'm wide awake. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
He's reading a paper. You're rolling a paper.
Well, yeah. I wish I could have. I couldn't do it over there in Tokyo. They were like, they could throw you in jail. I mean, they were literally like, so it was
they couldn't fit you in one. You'd be fine.
But and then when we got back, right? I mean, we had a number of players that were like, I'm out of it. And Gruden had to practice us slow and kind of get us back into the groove of things in training camp, which he didn't want to do. I think it drove him crazy, but it did affect us. So I can't even imagine in the middle of a regular season kind of making that type of move play there. That's a big-time trip.
I saw a quote, and I haven't read the full story yet. Kyle Juszczyk, the 49ers quarterback, responding to the Melbourne game. It's not fair. The NFL is doing us a disservice. I want to take a closer look at that.
Who said that?
Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. That's, to me, a different than London or Madrid, right? Yeah, you can get used to that. But Melbourne is literally the opposite side of the world. And that is a big adjustment where it can throw your body clock off for a week or two, and that could disrupt some teams.
You almost have to start the season and then have a bye week right after that, which is just a weird, that's a weird way to start the season. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.